Welcome this morning to the Body Language Show. Give yourselves a big round of applause for being here this morning. I don't have one of those cool handouts. Oh, now I do. Look at that. Cool. Thank you. So this is your handout for our training today. If you have one, show me yours. Everybody but the person who gave me theirs. Awesome. And we also have almost 200 people that are watching online with us today. Can you just wave at the camera, because we're really glad that they're here with us. So welcome, welcome. My name is Ann Washburn, and you are at the Body Language Show. Is that correct? Okay, if you thought you were going to something else, just stay here and you can go to something else later. But right now, we are going to talk about body language. Because the other thing is the holidays are upon us. It almost feels like the holidays. I saw a few snowflakes as I drove in this morning. I'm going to make up words today too. As I drove in this morning, I even saw a few snowflakes, which made it actually feel a little bit like the holidays. So before we start, I do have a couple of questions for you. How many of you have been to a body language show before? Okay, just a few of you. Awesome. How many of you have been to a 3 Key Elements class before? All right, excellent. That helps me out a lot, so I know what kinds of questions to ask you. So if you look at the front of your handout, there's a couple of things I want to point out to you. Did you get one? Okay, good. First of all, this is me, so in case you forget who I am, there's my name right there. What's my name? Hey, you guys are good. You passed the first part of the test. The next part is right down here. The 3 voices of communication. And it says the 3 voices are what?
Gestures, tone, and words.
Why would there be more than one voice to communication? Have you thought about that before? Because if our voice can send a message, why would we need 3 of them? Because when there's 3 of them, they can start to send different messages. Because imagine if you had 3 people giving the same message, could the message come out differently? Absolutely. And so now, finding out that you have 3 different voices to your own communication, this, for me, when I first learned this, made a red flag go up in my head. I'm like, wait a second. If there's 3 voices, are they going to say the same thing? Because if they're not saying the same thing, that could cause something called miscommunication. And miscommunication causes problems. Have you ever miscommunicated with somebody? I miscommunicated with somebody just this morning. He's called my husband. Anybody ever miscommunicated with their spouse? Oh my gosh, it causes trouble. It causes trouble. Have you ever miscommunicated with somebody at a store? Or miscommunicated with somebody in a customer service situation? Or miscommunicated with we already covered spouse, but child, or a teacher, or a neighbor? Miscommunication can be very costly. So our goal is to figure out, where does miscommunication come from? And how do I overcome it? Because next week, I checked my calendar, everybody is going to be eating a lot. It says it on the calendar, eat a lot. But one thing that happens even more importantly than eating a lot is that you're with family members. And family members, when you put a whole bunch of them in the same room, does miscommunication ever happen? Does tension ever increase? Does frustration ever happen? What else happens when you put a lot of family members together? Noise level goes up. Anxiety level goes up. Absolutely. What else? The space gets full. Yeah, it's crowded. What else happens? The what? The attention level drops. Absolutely. So the tension goes up and the attention goes down. So I want to help you today because body language, this is a powerful topic. And we could just sit here and talk about body language from now until Thanksgiving, and we wouldn't cover the same thing twice. But I want to help you today know how to help lower your tension level and up your attention level. I want to help you with that through body language. Body language is powerful, but what we don't realize is where its power comes from. So that's what I want to help you with today. So when it comes to these three voices of communication, I like to draw a pie chart on the board just so that you can see the ratios. Those ratios of communication look roughly like this. This one right here, this one is words. This one is tone of those words. So the tone of those words can send a different message than the words by themselves. Have you experienced that? You ever gotten in trouble for your tone of voice? Oh yeah. In fact, we calculate our tone of voice. We take our words and we carefully coat, especially girls are really good at this. We carefully coat the words with just the right tone so that when we lob those words over to the other person, they just poke just right. None of you girls do that, right? We never use our tone of voice deliberately. Oh, we so do. We so do. We so coat those words with that tone of voice. So notice there is a bigger chunk of our pie that's coming from the tone of those words. Not because we can speak with only tones, but because when they don't match, people pay more attention to the tone than they do to the words. Because sometimes people misinterpret this to say, well, let's see, if our gestures or our body language are the biggest piece of our communication, does that mean we can just quit using words? No, that's not what we're saying. So that's why I'm gonna address that very first. It's not that we can quit using our words, it's that when they don't match, when the words, the tone, when the words and the body language, when they don't match, people have to choose which meaning to go with. Because they can't go with both. Because I could stand up here and say, oh, I'm having the best day of my life. Do you believe my words?
No.
Why?
It was sunken. It wasn't on a high.
But what was sunken?
Your words.
The words and my body. When they don't match, people believe the body language and the tone more than they believe the words. Do you hear that? And that's what causes miscommunication. Because when they are sending conflicting messages, people are going to believe the body language first, the tone second, and the words last. And this isn't just when you're talking face to somebody. This comes across in the phone line. When you're talking to somebody over the phone, your tone will change if your body language changes. This is why when I train customer service people who are on the phones, they're like, why does body language matter to us? And I'm like, because if you're slouching, your tone of those words will be different. People can hear your body language over the phone. They also can hear the tone and the body language in text messages.
But it sometimes gets misconstrued.
Oh, absolutely. But we're not going there yet. Because here's the problem. It's only 10 minutes into class. Let's jump into level 3. When it comes to our body language, it affects how we are thinking and feeling inside of our own head. Our body language affects how we feel. And that in turn affects how we communicate when we choose to type the words. We will subconsciously change the message, the way we word and spell and emphasize and punctuate our text messages based on how we are ourselves interpreting the message. And so, yeah, there's the whole other person that can misinterpret what we're saying, and that misinterpretation is going to come through a whole different filter that we can talk about later. But I want you to understand that the real superpower of body language comes in focusing on you. Because if we only focus on others, we miss the boat on the power of improving our communication. When we improve our own body language, we improve our own results. So here's my next question. Does anybody here have any goals that you're working on? Oh, okay. So if you don't have a goal, let's ask it this way. Do any of you have anything that you wish in your life would get better? Oh, that one got even a little more response. If we want to achieve a better result, we need to focus on our own communication. And our own communication equals the communication we're sending out to others and also the communication that we're feeding into ourselves. Both of those kinds of communication are powerful opportunities to improve our results. So I'm going to teach you about this today so that you can understand how you can improve your own situation. And that's powerful. We don't need somebody else to do it for us. My son is 21, and he and I were having a conversation in the kitchen yesterday. And he said, Mom, I really think that the problem with people my age, talking about him, not me, him. Now we're confused. Okay. Talking about people that are in the 20-something age, is he says, it's because we keep waiting for somebody else to do things for us instead of standing up and doing them ourselves. Now, I couldn't stand up here and say that with the same power and authority as him because he's living that age group. So for him to say that, I was like, oh, that's good that you recognize that. But we sometimes, even the older adults like me, are waiting for somebody else to do something for us instead of standing up and choosing to influence and affect ourselves. We want to be able to influence and affect ourselves. And that's the true power of understanding all of this communication. So I want to help you with that today. I want to teach you things that I have personally put into practice over the last few years that have changed my results so that you can take these simple things, put them into practice as you go into the holidays. Because the cool thing is that after the Thanksgiving holidays, then we have more holidays. I mean, December is like the coolest month of holidays. And so we get to go through the Christmas season and my birthday. And doesn't everybody celebrate that in December? Oh, shoot. And New Year's. It's like this month of holidays. And so there's a lot of interaction with family, but there's a lot of beating ourselves up because we put high expectations on ourselves that we can't even meet. And so I want to help you with things that will give you a chance to reduce that stress level. Are you in? That's pretty cool, right? To start the holidays with superhero secret powers. That's what we want. So we're going to leave here with some more superpowers. I love that. So as you are in there, sometimes I put percentages up here. But I just want you to know that it is ratios. It's ratios. So we're going to talk about the body language, about the tone, and about the words. We're also, if you open up your handout, see if I can open up this one. There we go. And you can even fold it backwards like this if you want, so you can take notes on it. In part 1 right here, this is a list of the basics of the messages that we send with our body language. Now, this is not just the messages that you send to other people. This is the messages that you send to yourself. So, for example, because I saw, how many of you want just level 1 body language today? And how many of you want level 2 or 3 or 27? 27? Okay, so who votes for 1? Nobody votes for 1. Okay, then I'm going to jump ahead. Can we jump ahead? Okay, so imagine somebody asks you a question. And let's just say that this question is something about, what are you doing for the holidays? Simple question. You think that one might come up? What are you doing for the holidays? Now, you, having seen this handout right here, know that there's different messages in body language. You can pay attention to you and see how you respond in your body language to that question. So for example, so what are you doing for the holidays? Oh, and you notice that you go to wait on one leg before you answer the question. What do legs have to do with? What is it? Balance, strength. It says right here, balance, support, strength. In other words, on that one you can write, that's your foundation. Your foundation is in your legs. And so if I notice that I go to wait on one leg, or maybe before I answer, I notice that I start rubbing my leg like this. Well, for the holidays, and it's so funny because it'll be things like, well, I'm only rubbing it because I suddenly had an itch there. Well, duh, because your subconscious controls your itches. And so it's sending the message, there's a little bit off in my strength, support, and balance. In other words, I'm not feeling really strong going into my holidays. There's something going on there where I feel like I don't have support or power over my situation. See, I just jumped to level 23. Are you guys still okay with that? Yes. Okay. So, yes, but probably not in the exact same words. Is that all right? So in other words, if I notice that my legs go weak as I answer the question, it's showing me that I am afraid that I don't have the support that I need, or that I don't have the strength or power that I need to handle the situations that are coming up. Because our brain is so good at time traveling. Our brain does not like to stay in the present moment at all. We like to think about the past or think about the future, but we don't stay in the present moment very often. And there's so much power in the present moment. In fact, I'm just looking here. Are any of you in my group mentoring currently? You are? Okay, so one of you, so I can talk about group mentoring. Okay, because she won't tell anybody I talked about them. We, in group mentoring, I teach them how to stay in the present moment and be able to overcome the pressures that are affecting them. And I'm going to teach you just a little bit of that today so that you can take it into the holidays. But did I answer it enough right there? What was your name? Myron. Did I answer that enough? I mean, you asked me to repeat it. Did I get enough of it in there? Okay. So the point is, you watch you. You watch you. When somebody asks you a question, watch your response. Now, here will be the temptation. The temptation will be, oh, I'm going to watch myself. Now I can't move anything. Well, that kind of defeats the purpose. So try not to just tell yourself, I'm watching myself. Oh, then we tend to not move. How would I know this? Because when I'm at a store and somebody asks me, what do you do? I always tell them, I can't tell you. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because you'll get weird. Oh, no, I won't get weird. I won't get weird. Just tell me. And then I'm like, okay, I'm a body language expert. You are? But I'm like, see, I told you. And they're like, well, it's not that I'm weird. It's that I just don't know how to hold myself now that I know you're watching me. And I'm like, exactly. That's the whole problem. If we went around and so what's your name? So if I went up to Carol and I started talking to her about the holidays, and I said, Carol, just so you know, I'm watching all your body language. Do you think she might be uncomfortable in that moment? Probably. And so it causes us to behave differently. Because we're afraid of, okay, now I'm going to level 28 for just a second. Because we're afraid of being judged. That's what we fear, is being judged. Forgive me while I fix my mic pack for a second. Help. I'm stuck. Okay, I got it. No, I couldn't move because the mic pack cord was stuck. Okay, we're good now. We're good. Mic pack body language. All right. And so I need to remember that me watching my own body language is not so that I can judge myself. It's so that I can understand myself. We don't want to be judged. And that's why we fear when we think somebody can know more about me than I know about me. We fear that they will judge us. And that's a powerful response. So just as you be gentle with yourself, if you're going to watch your own body language, remember you're not doing it to judge you or condemn you. You're doing it to understand you. What are you doing it for? To understand you. Absolutely. Okay, so inside your handout, so that's the power of part 1. Power of part 1. Oh, one more piece I'm going to draw your attention to in the lower left corner where it says 4 foundational moves. When you see it, say, got it. On that part right there, this is another powerful thing to watch in yourself as you're going into the holidays. Because it says right there, this is referring to your hands mostly. What you push, what happens? It goes away. What you push goes away. What you pull comes towards you. So see, what you do with your hands also is an indicator of what's going on inside of your own head. When you talk to people, do you push away? And push away can look, it usually isn't like this. People aren't that direct. But the basics of it, they might do one move. They might brush off, is also a push away move. They might flick a finger. You can watch for things that push things away. But the interesting thing is when there are words that they speak and the body language, and by they I mean other people or you, when they don't match. So if I say to somebody, oh, I am so glad you're here. It's like, well, wait a second, that doesn't match. And it causes, inside of our brain, cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance has become quite the catchphrase on the internet and places now. But the basics of it is just this. Cognitive dissonance states that your brain cannot hold on to 2 conflicting ideas at the same time without discomfort. You're just triggering your brain to say, wait, 2 different messages just came in. Which one am I supposed to go with? Because we can't act on 2 different messages at the same time. It makes us uncomfortable. And when we feel uncomfortable around somebody, it raises the tension level. It raises it. It raises the frustration levels. So pay attention to your own pushes or pulls. Because it's very different for me to say, oh, I am so glad you guys are here today. That's a very different move than, oh, thanks for being here. It's like, what in the world? So number 3, what you hold down stays down. And what you lift, oh, come on. What you lift grows. So do this one with me. It's so cool to feel this. Do your hands down and just feel what pushing down feels like. Now, don't change anything except for just point your palms up. How does that feel? Lighter. Isn't that crazy? You didn't change anything except for the direction of your palms. And it sends a completely different message to you. So listen to what just happened there. The message that you send to yourself is a feeling. The message you send to yourself is a feeling. So when you changed your palm from push down to lift up, you felt lighter. Which one feels better, heavy or lighter? Lighter. Lighter feels better. So we send messages to ourselves and we receive them in the form of feelings. Okay, so there, we went to level 28 for a second. Now we'll come back to the beginning of class. Welcome to the Body Language Show. Hey, you raised your hands and told me you wanted level 27, so we will go there. Okay, so that's an important thing to pay attention to in how your hand movements go, in how you're using your hands. Now, in part 2, this is a fill in the blank. I'm a really nice teacher. I will give you all the answers, and if you miss one, please cheat off your neighbor. Is that cool? You don't get that offer at school very often, so take me up on it. In part 3, there's some more fill in the blank. I will give you those. But in part 3, the really powerful part is where this stick figure is down here. Because this is where I am going to teach you why you are wired to be able to send different messages at the same time. Because did any of you wonder that? I mean, I wondered that when I learned this. I'm like, well, wait a second. If I want to send a message, why am I wired to be able to sabotage that message by sending a different one with my body language and not even knowing I'm doing it? That's my favorite thing about body language. Who's been to Break Free Intensive? Anybody here? Oh, that whole row. And this, cool. That's my favorite thing about Break Free Intensive is this. In this class, people come up, not here, but at the place where we do the class. They come up on stage and I ask them questions and I watch their body language and listen to their answer. And when they don't match, I bring it to their attention. And the funny thing is the majority of the time they're like, I didn't even know I did that. We don't even realize the message we send with our body language. And that's why it's such an opportunity for improving our results, is because if you bring your attention to something that's already happening, you have the ability to improve. And that is so powerful. So in here, I'm going to show you why you would be able to send different messages and why we do and how to override it. That's even better, is that I'm not even going to just teach you why, I'm going to teach you how to improve it. Now that's a good class. If you can leave with the how-to, that is powerful. So are you in? Yes? Awesome. So can I tell you really quick how I became a body language expert?
Yes.
Anybody want to know? Yes. All right, cool. Because November is my work anniversary. I've been with 3 Key Elements for 9 years. And in that 9 years, I've given thousands of presentations and mentoring appointments and worked with thousands of people. I like to say I have the coolest job on the planet because I get to travel around and teach people about how their brain works. I get to work with people in this room right here. I have a group mentoring that I teach twice a month. Powerful class. I also work one-on-one with people individually and help them understand how to get from where they are to the goal that they're trying to achieve. And I just love getting to do that. But before I had this coolest job on the planet, I used to work in flight simulation. So, flight simulation, body language. Those go together, right? Or how about before that, I worked in explosives, military explosives, flight simulation, body language expert. Now that's a career path, right? Hey, it's because back when I went to a place called high school, anybody want to go back to high school? No, not me either. I didn't even want to be there when I was there. I realized I didn't communicate with people very well. I didn't even like people very much. And so when I went to college and they asked me what my major was, I was like, I want a major with no girls in it. Because girls are even harder to figure out than guys. Do you agree with me, guys? Right? Girls are hard to figure out. So I said, what majors are there with no girls in them? And I found out that engineering had no girls in it. In fact, they told me, oh, you can't go into engineering. Girls don't do that. And so that triggered the rebellious side in me. Anybody here rebellious? Oh, okay. Who's the rebellious people? Yes, we can join forces. So the rebellious side of me stepped up and said, oh yeah, you won't let me be an engineer? Watch me be an engineer. So I went into these engineering classes, and it's true, there were no girls because they elected me Woman of the Year for the department. That was not a hard contest, just so you know. And so here I was. Sorry, it just reminded me of a funny story. I don't know if I can tell that one in public. Okay, but don't tell anybody. Because it's funny, because I thought I was the only girl in the department for the longest time. And then I found out that this person, that I was friends with this person, and she always cut her hair really short. I didn't know she was also a girl until the day that we got talking, and she had a sharp object. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was, those compasses that have the sharp point on one side? She took that and she jabbed it into her foot. And I was like, what in the world are you doing? And she goes, it's fake. I don't have a leg. This is a fake leg. And so I like to do that to freak people out. I was like, you so freaked me out. But that was how I met her. And then I asked her name and she told me, I was like, oh, I'm not the only girl. But sorry, that was the weird story that just popped into my head. Because that was some crazy body language for her to pull her compass out and jab it in her leg. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? So I don't recommend that body language. Okay. Sorry, how did that even get in my head today? Okay. Too much information. Oh, shoot. You were watching part 1. If I scratch my head, there's too much information. See? We went to level 28 really. See how smart you guys are? I love it. All right, I'm going to put that in my journal. They already knew how to read body language by 10:33 this morning. Yes. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So I'm in engineering because I don't want to talk to people. And as an engineer, you can totally hide in your cubicle. You don't have to talk to anybody. It was awesome, except for then I got married and had children. And now I found myself back in this same boat. Because when I would go to my kids' school, I would have to interact with parents and with teachers. And I didn't get along with them very well. In fact, I ended up in fights all the time. Not fist fights very often, but usually just word talks, word problems. So I came home one day and I asked my husband, I'm like, why is everybody on this planet so mean? And I remember, because he looked at me and he goes, Anne, I don't think you want the answer to that question. And I was like, what, you think it's not me? I mean, you think it's me, you don't think it's them? And I remember looking at him and going, well, you're mean too, and walking out of the room because I was convinced I had no power over the situations I was in with other people. I did not know that my communication could influence the results of the interactions I was having with other people. I didn't know that. And because I didn't know that, I felt very frustrated and anxious around people. They scared me because I knew that the majority of my interactions ended in a place watching you, and you need to fix this. That does not win friends and influence people. That is not a good idea. So I had to choose, because I could have totally been that kind of person. But I had to choose that my intention with body language is to help people access more of their own amazingness. Because what I've learned, and this is not how I was taught, My upbringing, where she was 20 years younger than her next sibling, they were not taught how to be parents. And I'm the oldest guinea pig. And so they had to learn on me. I had to teach them, and I didn't have a manual on how to be a parent. And so I'm like, okay, you should parent me this way. So I didn't know these things. I didn't know how to interact with people. And so it would have been very easy for me to slip into the place of, I need to fix other people. And that is not my intention ever, to fix somebody, because what I've learned is they're not broken. I was taught growing up that people by default are messed up, that they are broken, and that the majority of people are trying to hurt other people. I was taught that. So I had to learn myself from my own experience that people are generally good. They want to be good. They aren't broken. And I love that I got to learn that. But you just need to know that's not what I was given. I had to learn it. And so when we take that and we couple body language ability with the belief that people are generally good, it helped me to see where people are trapped, where they stop themselves, where they sabotage their own results. And just because we already jumped way deep into this class, I'm going to skip clear to part 3 for a minute on our handout, where our stick figure is, and show you what's going on inside of your subconscious. I know some of you have learned this before, but for those of you that haven't, just a quick recap. Inside your head, you have a conscious and a subconscious. True? We could actually draw this out. There's about 20 parts to the subconscious, but we can generalize it into conscious and subconscious. Which one handles more information? How much more?
10 times.
Great guesses. Awesome guesses. So on average, the conscious can handle between 20 and 40 pieces of information every single second. In that same amount of time, the subconscious will handle 20 to 40 million pieces of information. 1 million times more information goes through the subconscious than goes through the conscious mind. So in order to handle this vast amount of information that's going through your subconscious, your brain behaves much like a computer. So I have my computer. Do you have your computer? Everybody bring your computer with you? Because these are computers. So everybody, their brain is behaving much like their computer. But here's the interesting thing. Our computer processes lots of random information. My computer is connected to the same internet that yours is connected to. Maybe not the same Wi-Fi hub, but the same internet. We have access to the same thing. So open your computer to your home screen for me and show me your home screen. Okay, now look around and find the person in the room that has the same home screen as you. There aren't. You will not find another person on the planet that has the exact same home screen as you. Nobody. So what's different about your home screen than mine? Everything. Besides everything, the backgrounds, the apps. What is an app? It's a program. And an app is just a program that tells your computer what information is important to you. So let me say that one more time. An app is just a program that tells your computer the information that's important to you. Your subconscious has programs, and those programs are telling your brain what of all the random information that comes in is important to you. Do you hear that? What's important? Now, Okay, so here, stay with me here for a second. Are all of the apps on your home screen good for you? Oh, I got a heck no on that one. We have apps on our home screen that are not necessarily, well, let's ask it this way. Will all the apps on your home screen help you achieve your goals? Will some of them distract you from your goals? Will some of them actually interfere with your goals? Some of them can. The same with the programming in your head. Not all the programming in your head will help you achieve your goals. Some of it works against you. In fact, unfortunately, a lot of it works against you unless you are consciously upgrading the programming. Because have you ever tried to open an app and it says there's an update available? You can't use the app until you download the update. Have you seen that? Yeah. Absolutely. But unfortunately, we don't intuitively know how to upgrade the programs that are in our subconscious. And so those subconscious programs will continue to run and sabotage our goals unless we become consciously aware of them. When we become consciously aware of them, now we can access the updates. Because I can go into my apps and search to see if there is an update available. This says I have 193 updates available. Right there, see? 193. And the thing is, until I go in and say, yes, update this, it doesn't update. It doesn't update automatically. Same with your brain. It isn't updating your programs automatically, not for good. Because I talk about this on my TED Talk that I did. I talk about this, but I did the TED Talk 3 years ago, so I didn't think of the app scenario. So I just talked about computers. The apps would have been way better. I need to update my TED Talk. Dang. Okay. But the problem is this. I am validating my programs in my subconscious all the time. I'm validating them. Now, validating does not mean that I am making sure that the program is helping me achieve my goals. Validating just means our subconscious is checking to make sure that the program will do two things. It won't kill me. In other words, it will keep me alive, and it's familiar. Those are the two prime directives of my subconscious. It wants to keep me alive and keep me comfortable. Nowhere in there, unfortunately, is my subconscious wired to make sure I achieve my goals, to make sure that I maintain my relationships in the best, highest quality form. My subconscious is not wired that way. My subconscious is wired to defend a program as long as it's familiar and comfortable and it doesn't kill me. My subconscious will defend it. So isn't that awesome news? Well, let me tell you the even more awesome news. The majority of those programs, you got them between the ages of 0 and 11 years old. Isn't that even better news? Yes! And of the ones between 0 and 11 years old, the majority of those came between 0 and 8 years old. Oh, that's so good news. That means that when I was 5 years old, I installed a few apps in my brain. And I took those with me to my adulthood. And I am constantly in the process of making sure that those programs are reinforced by people around me. In other words, my subconscious sends messages out to people around me and says, this is Anne's program. Will you treat her according to her program? Because as soon as you treat Anne according to her program, Anne's brain says, look, this is a valid program. And it gives a tally mark to the program and says, keep running this program because it's correct. People keep validating the program. Okay, it's still level 27. Are we good? Okay, so look at this. I am like a bat. Or bats aren't very cute. I am like a dolphin. I send out messages like echolocation, and they bounce off of you and come back to me and reinforce my sometimes broken programs. Because one of my broken programs was everybody on the planet is mean, and their default behavior is unkind. It is bad. That was my default programming. I got it. I picked it up growing up. It was so awesome. It served me well. I didn't die, and it was familiar. And I got along with my parents and the people who had taught me that. And so it defended me. It helped me. But now here I am, an adult. Who here is an adult? Only 4 of you. Okay, I wondered. Because it's such an arbitrary thing. I remember the morning I turned 18 years old. And I got up and I waited all day for the moment I would magically feel like an adult. I did, you guys. I walked around all day going, okay, when will it happen? When will I feel like an adult? And the next day I woke up and I was like, wow, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to feel like an adult. I had to behave differently. People expected different things of me. But nowhere did somebody give me a download to upgrade my programs. Nowhere did I get a feeling that I was now an adult. So now I've been an adult for longer than I wasn't an adult. And I still don't always feel like an adult. In fact, I still have never felt that moment when I felt like an adult. The closest thing was when I had my first child and I got flooded with, responsibility. That was the closest thing. But most of the time I don't feel like an adult. Because adulthood is not, it's not an award, it's not a program, it's a choice. And what the choice is how many is's can you put together in one sentence? The choice is, can I be in charge of my own programming? Can I be in charge of it and not blame somebody else for it and not wish somebody else would fix it? Can I be in charge of my own programming? That's truly what it means to be an adult. I don't have to have somebody else fix it for me. I don't have to blame somebody else for it. I can step into my own power and be willing to choose to upgrade. Choose to upgrade. Because that's the power, that's the superpower I'm giving you, is the knowledge of how to upgrade. But I cannot choose for you to upgrade. I can't do that for you. I can show you how I've done it. I can show you how you can do it. But you still have to choose. Because you are the adult. Is that awesome, you guys? Yes. It's such an empowerment. So here's where the body language is so important. Because your subconscious is sending out messages to people around you. And how does it send out those messages? Your subconscious sends the messages out through the words, the tone, and the body language as well. It does. In fact, your subconscious, when you are getting ready to talk to somebody, your subconscious will prepare approximately, so you smarty pants that have all been to this class before, how many words will your subconscious prepare? You didn't bring your cheat sheets. 650. Very good. Gold star for whoever just said that one. Good job. 650 words for you to speak. But now, how many can you speak? 150. On average, we have to filter this down to 150 words when we speak. Why would your subconscious prepare 650 words knowing you could only speak 150 of them? But why would it do that? Why would it prepare more words than you can speak? For options, and just in case. What was yours? Keep you safe. But what does it want to keep safe? Your programs. Your subconscious wants to keep your programs safe. So it prepared these 650 words based on your programming that's inside of you. It knows you can't speak all of them, but it will let you have the illusion that you're in charge by letting you choose which words you're going to speak. Do you wish some people would choose better words? I often wish some people would choose better words, especially 10 years ago when I felt like I was always in trouble with everybody. I was always wishing they would choose different words. But we get this illusion of control by choosing the words that we're going to speak. But sometimes our emotions take over and we choose words that we wouldn't normally choose because of the emotion that has just taken us over. And so now, those 650 words, 150 got used. How many got held back? Come on, it's not that hard. 500 words got held back. What does our subconscious want to do with those 500 words? Express them. And how do they get expressed? Some of them are still a choice. We do it in our tone. And the rest of them come out in our gestures or our body language. And we don't realize we do it. But our subconscious is doing its job. It needs to send the message out. Because, what's your name? White shirt. Brett. So if I send the message out to Brett, and he picks up on the message and sends the message back that matches, I feel justified in my programs. Doesn't make them true. Like my program was not true that everybody on the planet defaults to mean and bad. That was not a true program. I also had another program that defaulted that said nobody on this planet likes me. They're all mean. It was a hard way to live. It really was. Trust me, I lived it. It was hard. But I was continually validating this by sending the messages out to Brett, and Brett sends them back. And it's like, oh, okay, this is just the way it is. There's no way for it to be different. So my subconscious is doing its job. I feel safe does not mean I feel confident. I feel safe and familiar does not equal I feel powerful, successful, able. It doesn't mean any of that. It also doesn't mean that it's true. Something being familiar does not mean it's true. And that was the big pill for me to swallow, because I went through school. I was constantly proving my intelligence and trying to show people I could do things they said I couldn't do. But yet I still felt weak, and like everybody around me was more capable than I was, because I didn't know how to upgrade the program. We spend a lot of time picking from the words that our subconscious gives us. We spend a lot of time trying to send a message through our words. But that part is totally our subconscious wanting us to think we are in charge. What I need to do is upgrade the program so that I don't have to sift through 650 words to find the politically correct ones, or to find the nice ones, or to find the ones I can get away with. My 650 words that are presented to me will be different if I upgrade the program. And So this is why I was really excited when I learned that our subconscious sends the rest of that message out in the body language. Because that means if I interrupt the body language, I can send a new message back to my subconscious. And that new message will trigger cognitive dissonance, which will give me the choice of which program to maintain. It'll give me the choice. Do I want the old comfortable program, or do I want the new, currently uncomfortable program that can become comfortable? Okay, everybody take a deep breath for me. Because this is a lot of information I just shared with everybody. So let me say that part one more time. Do I want the old comfortable program, or do I want the new, currently uncomfortable program that will give me a chance to upgrade? We get to make friends with uncomfortable. The most common response I hear when I teach somebody something different to do with their body language, the most common response I get is, that's uncomfortable. And I'm like, good. And they're like, bad. And I'm like, no, good. And here's why. That's why I just spent so much time teaching you this, is because you need to know why uncomfortable is good, not uncomfortable is bad. In fact, there even is, there's somebody on the internet that was trying to teach body language, and they said, body language, this is just a paraphrase, will make you feel, or how did he put it? He says, how to overcome the body language Frankenstein. That's what he called it. Because basically what he was saying is that if you try to pay attention to your own body language, you will feel like Frankenstein walking around, because you'll feel silly. And I was like, here's the problem. I greatly disagree with most of the so-called body language experts out there. Not on their interpretation of body language necessarily, but on their presentation of body language. Because nobody teaches this. Nobody teaches that this right here, you're not going to find this anywhere else but 3 key elements. Because we understand what's going on in the brain and how overriding is going to help this. And that is powerful. Because so for example, in my, I don't remember. Who's watched my TED Talk? In there, do I talk about trying to hold my hands down to my sides? Do I do? Do I do? Do I do? You can totally teach a class and not know how to talk English. Okay. So I'll just tell you the story really quick. I noticed that I would want to protect myself a lot. Because remember, my program was, I feel weak. Now there's always controversy. Folding your arms doesn't mean you're closed. Okay, fine. But sometimes it does. That's the thing about body language. Oh, we totally skipped part 2. And part 3. We'll just throw this out. We'll do our own class today. Your subconscious is, okay, how shall I teach this really fast? This way. So any body language movement is like a word. And a word only has meaning as long as it's in a sentence. It either has to be in a sentence or have a definition next to it. Otherwise, the word has no meaning. Like if I take the word play, well, play can mean a whole bunch of different things. So I either need to hear it in a sentence or I need to have a definition applied to it. It's the same with body language. One move by itself doesn't have meaning. It has to have other movements with it, or it has to have a definition applied to it. So that's the fast way of explaining that. So somebody folding their arms, it depends on the moment they do it. So if you're talking to somebody and you pose a question to them and they fold their arms, it's probably consideration. They're thinking about the question. It's probably not closed. Now, by contrast, me, before I would walk into a room, I would fold my arms because my brain was going through a whole bunch of scenarios of why people weren't going to like me in that room. And so I would go into a protective stance. So you see how folding your arms can mean two completely different things. And so for me, I noticed I would fold them a lot. Now, the other thing that's really fascinating in body language is if you ask somebody why they do certain body language, they'll always have a reason. It'll be like, well, like I told you about the leg. Well, my leg just itched just then. That's why I rubbed my leg, okay? Or if you asked me back then why I was folding my arms, my answer would have been because girl clothes don't have pockets. They don't have real pockets. They're always fake. They don't actually work. They're right? My son is he's so funny. I have 4 boys and 1 girl, and my one son, my second son, he always says, I think it's so cute when I give a girl a compliment about something she's wearing, and she goes, yes, and it has pockets. He just thinks that's the cutest thing. He goes, I just love that. He goes, I want to make a line of clothes for girls that have pockets just because I love that cute compliment. And I was like, aw. So that was my excuse, is I couldn't put my hands in my pockets, so I was folding my arms. I hear all the excuses. But what was funny is I decided I didn't want to be sending I need to protect myself message to my own subconscious. So I chose, because remember it's a choice, I chose that I was going to practice unfolding my arms. And so then I was like, what do I do with them? Where do I put them? And so I learned that neutral position for hands, neutral, hear what the word, is down next to our sides. It does not mean glue them to your sides and never move them. And why would I have to tell you that? Because somebody didn't tell it to me. So at first, I walked around with my hands glued to my side, and I looked ridiculous. Because somebody stopped me once when I was teaching body language, and they're like, do you have good body language? Yes. And they're like, I am so not doing that. So it doesn't mean you leave them there. It means when you're not using them, you put them away. And so I was going to practice. I wasn't going to fold my arms. I was going to practice being more open. But the problem is, as soon as I put them next to my side, it triggered what? It triggered the uncomfortable, the cognitive dissonance inside my brain. It triggered it. And so now I was like, oh, I feel so weird. Everybody's going to think I look weird. But the problem is, you don't look weird. It just feels weird. So you got to disconnect the two. Looking weird and feeling weird are not the same thing. They're not the same. Because, think about it. When you see like a 20-something person and they are at the mall, that's what that's called. Faced with all the stores with a roof. Okay, they're at the mall and they hear a song. Have you ever seen one just break out and dance in the middle of the mall? Do they look weird or do they look free? Which one is it? They look free because they're free of their own program up here. They're free of the program that we have. So we look at them and go, oh, I could never do that. Because our program still has us handcuffed. Their program has set them free. It doesn't look weird. Even when it's crazy out of place, it doesn't look weird. But it would feel weird to us. Did that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to unfold my arms. I wanted to practice being open. Oh, it was a war. It was a war because I would catch myself folding my arms and I would say, okay, arms, we are going to unfold. And I would unfold them. And before I could even walk 5 feet, they would be folded again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. All I want to do is unfold my arms. But as soon as the program reasserted itself, remember, people don't like you. No, I'm open. But remember that one person? But I'm going to be open. But then there's that person. And I was walking around like this for a week. And people are like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm just upgrading. But I had to train my brain that this could be comfortable. That this could be comfortable. Okay, so I've taught you a whole bunch of stuff. And that's kind of a pretty Christmassy diagram. So I need to hear, what are you learning from what I've taught you? Because I want to switch gears and totally go into what to do with your body language in the holidays. But I need to know where your brains are at. So Ryan and, what's your name? Oh, you're Peggy Sue. I totally know Peggy Sue. Ryan and Peggy Sue, you guys got the microphones there. Could you help pass them around? I need a couple of people, even 3 people, that will tell me, what are you hearing or learning from this? So who would be willing to share? Choose me. Hey, good job. Okay, so we'll start with you. And would you stand up and say your first name so that people online can put a name with your voice?
Good morning. I'm Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Hi. Any body language is a word.
Yes, absolutely. And why is that important to know?
Because without context or definition, it stands singly, but you need to have the information around it to know what body language means.
Which, so since you brought that up, can I add a piece to that?
Please.
Which means don't judge people based on one move.
Wonderful.
Because if we start judging either others or ourselves, then we actually break rapport instead of build rapport. So remove judgment also from that word.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Megan. Okay, give her a round of applause. Okay, right here.
My name is Leland.
Hi, Leland.
I learned that you can change what the programming with your body language. You weren't subject to. You can't. Your body language can show what's going on inside, but you can also change what's going inside by moving your body.
So we can override it.
Right.
Because in computer science, this is one of the reasons, so I'm going to go science-y for just a second. In computer science, they put in a program what's called an interrupt. If this happens, it interrupts the program and goes to a different part of the program. And we are the best computer programs out there. And so we need to know how to interrupt our own program. Otherwise, the program will continue until it's interrupted. So very good. Thank you. Round of applause for Leland. Okay, who else would like to share? Go ahead. Please stand up.
My name is Kelleen.
Hi, Kelleen.
I picked up that if you watch to understand, you get more out of it than to judge.
Ooh, that's really good. So watch to understand instead of to judge.
Yes.
Well said. Okay, give her a round of applause. Excellent. Okay, give her the microphone right there. Okay, did anybody else want to share? Who else would like to share? Right here.
Hi, I have more of a question.
But you still have to say your name.
I'm Livia.
Hi, Livia.
Hi. So I find sometimes I will clench my toes or my fingers or even my jaw unintentionally, and I'll be like, why am I so tight? There's no reason. But there is, obviously. So can you give me some insights?
Absolutely, in just a minute, because that's totally leads into where we're going. Is it hot in here to you guys, or just me? It's pretty warm up here, Reed, if you could look at that. Okay, so big round of applause for all of those comments. Oh, and give her the coats. You should come stand here under the spotlights. That's probably the problem. So space heater for her, and then cool it off for the rest of us. Awesome. Okay, yes. Okay.
My name is Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany.
I'm one of those non-teenagers that will break out in the store, and then
Nice.
then the kids are like, "Mom, don't do that. You're so embarrassing." And so for you to put the name of it of freedom, it's like, oh my gosh, that's totally what it is, because that's just me. But at what point do children or teenagers grasp that difference from embarrassment of watching somebody else do it to freedom? I know we have lots more teaching to do in our home with our kids, but like how do we make that transition?
So
If that's
that
even a
is
question.
actually like, no, hold on to the microphone. That's actually like 15 questions all wrapped into one there.
I'm really good at that.
I can see that. Good job. So let me approach a couple of angles of that question. So the first is that we have to remember our kids are not going to have a moment that we teach them something and it's going to shift everything for them. It is their, I know, right? It is their accumulation of experiences that will shift it for them. Because they're having to grow neural pathways. And we grow more neural pathways during teenage years. We actually, tangent for just a second. We actually grow more neural pathways and more memories during our teenage and early 20s than any time in the whole rest of our life. If we're not conscious of it, the default is that's when the most memories and neural pathways are built. Because that's when we're figuring out our world. And so to think that, because that's what I kind of heard underneath your message there was, what can I teach my kids so they have what I have? And the problem is you have what you have because of the experiences that you've gone through. So the most important thing to teach them is the experience that it's okay to try things within safe boundaries. Because when they try it, that's when they'll make the connection that it's okay to be free. But think about this too, Tiffany, and this is level 40 for just a second, is that in order to experience freedom, we have to have experienced the bondage. And so the fact that the kids are not as free as you are is not something to lament or feel bad about or go, God, this has got to get fixed. It's, I'm glad they can see that and feel that and see me feeling what I feel. Because that's going to give them the ability to take the bridge themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you're doing totally the right thing by maintaining your level of freedom. Because as long as you can do that, they'll get to a place at some point, and it's different for every kid, but at one point they'll try it, and they'll feel it, and they'll feel the contrast. And that contrast is what helps us. That's why I tell you where I was 10 years ago. Being able to see a contrast in somebody else gives other people permission and hope to experience the contrast themselves.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, give Tiffany a big round of applause. Okay, so I want to go into what's going to happen over the holidays. Should we do that? Yes, the front row. How about the rest of you? The back two rows were like, hold your breath. Oh no, what's going to happen? Okay, so I need a couple of volunteers. Okay. We got to have everybody get to experience freedom. So I'm not going to call on anybody, but I want everybody to raise their hand and say, pick me, when I say, are there any volunteers? Ready? Are there any volunteers? Okay, good job. Now, who would really like to volunteer? All right, so let's have you come up. What's your name? Kelly. And let's have you come up. What's your name? Richard. So we have Kelly and Richard. Everybody say, thank you, Kelly and Richard. Thank you, Kelly and Richard. Okay, so Kelly, you get to be here. Richard, you get to be here. Facing them. There you go. Awesome. Let me rewind. Embrace the uncomfortable. Okay, because I'm going to leave you guys here and I'm going to walk over here so that we can all watch you two for a second. Okay? So here's what I want to know. I want to see what you guys, you already know this, so we're just going to test. Actually, let's test the audience. When somebody feels weak, what are you going to see in their body language? Shoulder slumping. So slump your shoulders for us. Oh, shifting of the weight. Yep, they both shifted their weight immediately. Does that look weaker than they did a moment ago? Yes. Okay, what else do you see when somebody feels weak? They don't look at you. Okay, so no eye contact, and Richard, no smiling. There you go. Kelly. They still want to smile. I know, but sometimes actually when people feel uncomfortable, they will giggle or smile as part of it. So they don't always frown. Sometimes they'll giggle or smile. Also, they brought up crossing their arms in front of them. No, go ahead. We're doing weak right now. So slump shoulders, weight on one leg, cross your arms somehow in front of you, or not smile, either one. But cross your arms somehow in front of you. Okay, there you go. So does that look weaker than they did a moment ago? Yes. That was 7 of you. How about the rest of you? Does that look weaker? Yes. I need to know what you're seeing. So studies show, I know. Now, why would they want to get out of that pose? Do you know? Okay, all of the above. So let me put it into words for you. Studies show that it only takes 2 minutes of holding a body language pose for your hormones and your chemicals to align with the pose. And so they don't want to maintain the weak pose because they can feel it's pulling their chemicals into alignment with weakness. And so that's why they don't want to do it. But you're going to just hold on. We'll unravel you. It'll be okay. Come on. Thank you. Because remember, you're up here to be the visual aid for these guys. So they need to know what weak looks like. Now, what does strong look like? Not powerful, but when somebody feels strong, what's going to happen? Shoulders back. So, Kelly, there you go. We are, but one piece at a time. So shoulders up. Don't change anything else. Just go back to weak. Now don't change anything else except, let's do an easier one. Don't change anything else except for put your weight on both legs. Okay, see that? Yeah. I want you to see that it doesn't take fixing everything to upgrade the message. You can change one piece and upgrade the message. Okay, so now shoulders and hands for Kelly's benefit and smiling. And look, she wants to put her chin up. So see, she's getting more comfortable because she's recognizing it's not just about everybody watching her. It's also about how you feel. And that's important, okay? So you can hold, if you start to feel weak. So let's say you're imagining the in-laws coming over. Because I get it. My mother-in-law, I don't think we responded to her invitation for Thanksgiving dinner yet. I got to work on that. Okay. She will tell people that I have gone to the devil because I teach body language. Oh. Do you think I could feel judgment coming there at all? So I totally get it. When you're thinking about being around the relatives, it can be a daunting mental task of deciding how that's going to play out. So I want you to know that if when you're getting ready for the holidays, the first step is watching, do I go into weakness anywhere? And putting yourself back into strength and adding a scenario in your head of things working out in a good way. Because part of why we will go to weakness is because we're playing out a scenario of it not working out very well. But remember, it hasn't happened yet. So even though the past has evidence of how it could happen, does not make the future permanent yet. So it's still just your story. So watch your body language to know when to upgrade your story. Did you hear that? Watch your own body language to know when to upgrade your story. So that's the first thing I want you to know about the holidays. Leading up to it, when you're thinking about the interactions, watch for weakness. And when you feel weakness, Put your body back into a place of strength and tell yourself a new story. So did you hear the steps? Pay attention when you're thinking about the holidays. Put yourself back into body language strength. And number 3 is tell yourself a new story. Tell yourself a new story. And at first, it'll be interesting to watch because you might not believe it because you have 28 Thanksgivings that you have as evidence that it's not going to work out. And so that story goes through your head and pulls you down, and go back to the strong body language. Tell yourself the new story. Because this isn't about them. It's not about changing them. This is about upgrading who? You. This isn't about them. So the story is to benefit you, not them. You are upgrading you. Regardless, they may come into Thanksgiving and do the same thing they've always done. But we are showing you how to respond differently. It's about you. Who is it about? Did I say that enough times yet? You figured out who it's about? Okay, so now here's the next part. And I'm going to ask you guys this now. When you feel frustrated, so imagine feeling anxious. You brought up anxious. Okay, that's what I do. Okay, now notice what just happened in her body language. I only brought up the word. What happened? Her hands and her knees bounced and her foot started tapping. It was like, yeah. Exactly. What about you? What would be the trigger word for you, Richard? For her, it was anxious or holidays.
I don't know that I have a trigger word beyond I just want to accept it all.
Okay.
I'm excited for the holidays.
Good. So yes, Kelly, can I have some of that? Can you rub it off on me? So let's use a different one. Let's do a different one for you. What is an emotion that's hard for you to manage? It's usually like frustration, anger, resentment, embarrassment.
Probably frustration.
Frustration. Okay, so imagine feeling frustrated. What does that look like?
I left that behind years ago.
You left the frustrated, but then how come that was your answer, that frustrated's hard to handle?
Because I know in the back of my mind that is something I will deal with.
Okay, so then let me help you deal with it by being willing, because what you saw right there, I don't know if you saw the little body language things that just happened. He was going into his coping mechanisms of what he's put into place to manage things that have happened. Because we all have coping mechanisms. And we want to, and you're the kind, so married?
Yes.
Kids?
Yes.
Adult kids?
Yes.
Okay, so do they come over for the holidays?
Absolutely.
So where did the frustration come in the past? In-laws, kids, wife, where was it at?
It's not in the holidays at all.
Or wherever.
Interacting with people.
Interacting.
Making sure that it's a safe environment. Making sure that I'm being safe with them in the way that I speak, in the way that I present myself. All of those things.
Okay, so you are a caretaker, is what you're saying. You want to make sure that it's safe for everybody, so you take it on as your job to create the environment.
Not necessarily so much as a caretaker as I want to make sure that I'm developing those relationships.
Okay, and to do that, because you talked about an environment, so you're preparing an environment for good relationships to happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you are careful in doing that.
Yes.
Okay, so here we have, so imagine frustration, not at the holidays, but at some scenario. What might happen in your body language? Let's see if you can go there to see it.
I think I would change the way that I would feel. I think I would probably be more forward. I think my tone of voice would also change.
Okay, so I'm going to pause you for a second, because
What I just said?
yeah.
You went with your left foot forward as you started to say the change.
I know. I see what I've developed here. I have a whole bunch of people that know way too much now. But can I touch you? Is that okay? So here's what I just saw is, yeah, your shifting of the weight, but the swallowing was the first thing. There was a lot of swallowing, and then this hand wanted to close, but you kept telling it not to. And so just let yourself feel clenched hands for me for a minute. Both of you. Can you do it? Okay, so clenched hands. What does clenched hands feel like? Anger. Don't unclench them. Come on. You got to act. Don't go into your coping mechanisms for just a minute while you're this volunteer. What does it feel like? Everybody clench your hands. What does clenched hands feel like? Okay, I like that word right there. What does it feel like? Gathering strength. Gathering strength. Holding. Now here's the problem, is emotions are meant to flow. They're meant to flow. And as soon as we hold body language, hold tension, somebody, was it you, Kelly, that brought up earlier that you'll feel tension? Somebody brought it up. Oh, right here. Say the different tensions again. Her toes. So everybody curl your toes.
My hands are, but they're not. Like physically they're not, but it's like
Mentally. I'm repeating all your words because people online can't hear you. So if you want to know why I'm repeating you. So curl your toes. Everybody curl your toes. And in here, she was saying that she won't clench her fists, but it's like mentally she does. But in here, I'm going to have you actually clench them so you can feel it. So clench your toes, clench your hands, and then what other ones? Your jaw. Yep. Forget to breathe. Would somebody hand her a microphone? That's too many words for me to repeat. Okay, relax for a second. We'll go back to it in a second. Go ahead.
Okay, so sometimes it'll be like my hands are clenched, but they're not physically clenched, but it's almost like the internal muscles are tighter.
Yep.
And then my toes will be tightened underneath, or my jaw, like I'll wake up and I'm like, why am I so tight? I was just sleeping, it doesn't make sense. And then sometimes I'll forget to breathe. And it's almost like I'm holding my breath, and then I have to tell myself to take these deep breaths. And when you had me clench my hands, it was almost like my breath came. Like I naturally breathed deep when my hands were clenched, which was really weird.
Okay, so thank you for saying all those words. Now I don't have to repeat them all. So everybody shake it out for just a second. Because I see I'm already triggering things that haven't even happened yet. So now we're going to, because normally I will teach people about weak and strong body language. I never go into this deeper level in a regular body language class. But because it's the holidays, when I was getting ready for this class, I decided to teach you this. But you got to stay with me so I can teach it to you quickly. So some of you are going, your rebellion is coming up, and it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That will feel bad. You need to know what it feels like so that when you experience it, you know what to do with it. So stick with me here. You guys online, you as well, and Richard, stick with me on this. All right. So now here we're going to work let's work top to bottom. So the first place that tension will happen is our jaw. So everybody clench your jaw. The next place is shoulders. So clench your shoulders a little. Then it's going to be hands, and then butt cheeks. So everybody clench those. And then we'll stiffen our knees, and then curl our toes. So feel all of those different places for just a second. Everybody's like, ugh. Just feel it for a second. Because any one of those places could be a place that is indicating to you that a program has been triggered in you. Okay, so now don't unclench everything, just unclench your toes. Okay, can you do that? At least nod, because most of you quit breathing. Okay, now unclench the knees. Let the knees be a little loose. Okay, now the butt cheeks. Okay, so just the lower body now has been, but okay, Do you feel that some of them want to go back to tense? Okay, so you're practicing letting some of them go. Now, fingers. Now, shoulders. Now, jaw. And now, deep breath. Okay, now how does that feel? You can talk, it's okay. So it feels more, put words on it.
When we were tense, it was like sucking all the energy. Like it takes all the energy out of you.
Sorry, my knee won't bend now that we've been doing that. Okay, I'm just standing closer so they can hear you on my microphone. Say it again.
So when we were tense, it was taking all the energy. Like it was taking all of your, focus and all the energy. So you felt like when you'd relax, it was like, like you were.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to help you with, is to actually be able to put words to it, not just say, it feels good. Because that's our chicken exit, because if we actually define it, now it would become a tool. If we actually put words to it, we now have a tool. It feels like peace. I like that. It feels like peace with a touch of confidence. I like that. Or did you say taste? Feels free. There's a great word. It feels free. It feels, what other words? Come on. Comfortable, flowing. What? Releasing. What else? Like Elsa from Frozen. We should all break out into song with Tiffany. Okay, so I like what Kelly was saying, because where she was going was it turned her ability to think back on. That's what I want you to notice, is that when we go into the tense place, it actually triggers our fight or flight in our brain. So let me read something to you here. I had it ready, but then I had us all go to our home screens, so now I have to find it again. Okay. Has anybody here heard of meditation? Who's heard of meditation? Raise your hand. Okay, you've heard of it. Has anybody ever tried it? Okay, is it easy? No, it's not easy. Can it be powerful? Yes. Absolutely. Here's a connection I want you to make, is understanding what tense feels like in your body and what relaxed feels like in your body actually triggers the same parts of your brain that meditation does. So body language can be a meditation superpower. Meditation isn't about becoming a different person, a new person, or even a better person. It's about training ourselves in awareness and getting a healthy sense of perspective. You're learning to observe yourself without judgment. Does that sound like what we're doing here? But that's a definition of meditation. But body language can trigger the same result in your brain on a quick basis that you do with meditation. And so if in the holidays we're anxious and we don't have time to say, everybody wait here while I go meditate for 40 minutes and I'll be back. Don't eat dessert yet. We might not have time for that. But we would have time to notice and check through all those pieces I just ran you through to find any tension that we are holding in our body. So you check your jaw, you check your breathing, you check your shoulders, you check your fists, your butt cheeks, your knees, and your toes. You run through all of them and just make sure that they are all still relaxed. Because what will happen, because you talked about relationships, what will happen is if somebody that we want to have a relationship with says something that triggers us, something will go into defense mode. So we have weak body language, we have strong body language, and we have defense body language. And a couple more defense body language that I want to add, because we just went through the tension body language. But a couple of more to pay attention to are folding arms, cobra, like this, or another one is widening our stance. We will widen our stance just wider than shoulder width apart because it puts us on defense. The reason we will widen our stance is because we feel like whatever they're saying to us is pushing on us. And widening our stance helps us be ready to be pushed on. Okay, so we just went to level 52. So hear what I'm saying. It's not super difficult, but I had to pull you into this for a minute so you could feel it, so that we can come back out of it. So you're paying attention before the holidays for noticing when you go into weak body language so that you can pay attention to the story up here. This is like I just took 2 hours of mentoring and crammed them into the last 15 minutes. So the second thing, so that was the first one, and I gave you 3 steps for that, remember? The second one is notice, check in with yourself for tension anywhere top to bottom. Check for tension. And the step there is check for tension. Step 2 is let go of the tension and take a deep breath. Because emotions need to flow, and anytime we have tension, we have stopped the flow of the emotion. Cool? Okay. Then the next one is pay attention to defense mode. Have I gone into defense mode at all? Because if I go into defense mode, I will cross my arms, I will try to get bigger, my stance will get wider, I can talk English. My fists, that's the word, thank you. My fists will clench, but sometimes it won't be the whole fist. It will be a finger that I start picking at or holding on to, because then you'll know too much. Well, it can be that, but sometimes it's just because we're afraid of being judged by them. And I know in me, when I'm afraid of being judged by someone else, I'll catch myself squeezing just a finger. Because I've trained myself not to do this, but I'll hold a finger or squeeze a finger. And so just paying attention to even that, or I'll pick at a finger, like a cuticle. I'll pick at one of them. So notice that kind of thing, because those are a defense mechanism that's coming up. And so when you notice a defense mechanism, you do the same thing. You relax the tension or the movement, and then you have to come up with a statement to remind yourself that things are okay. Things are okay. I'm choosing my response. I'm not being reactive, because if I'm reactive, I will react instead of choosing a response to the situation. So the concern here is that if this feels like too much, you won't do any of it. So I need you to remember it's simple. What's the word? Simple. It's simple. It's simple and doable. So I would have, we'll pass out the blankets in a minute for you two over there. Where I want you to remember there's just 3 different parts. Watch yourself before the holidays for weakness and choose a new story. Watch yourself in the moment. Now, this could happen not with family members, but like if you go Black Friday shopping or driving, you could catch the tension inside of you. Pay attention to the tension. Let go of the tension. Let go of the tension so that you can still move forward. And the last one, watch for defensive stances and upgrade the story. Use a statement in your head, such as, This is simple. I am choosing my response. It's safe to upgrade. Simple, safe, those are powerful words to remind ourselves of. I can choose my response. Just like Richard has practiced this over the years so that he can be in a place to be open. My mom taught it to me this way. My mom taught kindergarten forever. And she says, in kindergarten, I had to make an atmosphere of love and acceptance where kids felt safe to learn new things. Well, that's what we can do. By watching our own body language, we can create an atmosphere of love and acceptance for the people around us where we can feel safe to have new behavior. It doesn't mean, okay, so we got to give these guys a big round of applause for being up here. So I can let you guys go, wait. And Richard. Thank you. Okay. So we have an opportunity to upgrade. But remember, me upgrading does not indicate or require that they upgrade. So we have to be ready to hold a new neutral position while not requiring that the people around us match our neutral position. Their behavior is not required by mine. Their upgrade is not required for my upgrade. I can upgrade without them upgrading. That's what I have done over the years as I have people that will judge me. I still can upgrade me. And my upgrade is not predicated, is that a word, on their upgrade. I am in charge of me. Say that with me. I am in charge of me. Can you guys do that? Yes. Okay, so tell me, is that too much to know going into the holidays? Are you okay with that? Because I am not guaranteeing at all that everybody you interact with will now be better. But I am helping you know how to upgrade you. Because as I've been in charge of me, I have been able to create my own space around me that feels safe, even when outside that space, it's still chaos going on. Chaos can be out there, and peace with a touch of confidence can be in here. And that's what I want for you. So even you can picture it that way, that if you have to, during the holidays, you have a bubble that you're inside of that can feel relaxed, even when crazy is going on out there. And they'll start to respond, but it isn't necessarily, it can be, but it isn't necessarily instantaneous. Cool? And so I have some, because it is the holidays coming up, I had them get me a whole bunch of audio CDs. Does anybody like presents? I do. You do? Oh, presents are awesome. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How many are in here? 30? Can you get me 15 more? What if I just give one to everybody? Would that be okay? All right, so I have here the bucket list. This is how to get outside of your comfort zone, but not outside your safety zone. It's a powerful concept. Who has never listened to the bucket list CD? Who's never had that one? Okay, so somebody help me. Leland. Yes. Kelly. Okay, go give those to the people that have raised their hands that have never had that one before. And then right here, I have one called Don't Dump Your Cup. One of the things that we do is we don't understand how we can receive good things that are coming to us. And so this is a powerful one for understanding how to receive good and not keep pushing it away. So who's never had this one? Okay, pass that one out. And then right here I have, this is one, it's called Slay the Dragon. This is a journaling activity on how to remove negative emotions that are going on inside of us. So if you want that one, raise your hand. Okay. And they're going to go get me more of them. Because these are antiques. They're called CDs. And if you don't know how they work, they're like little silver discs, and some people have machines that will play them. Oh, look at this. Awesome. Okay, so we got, woohoo. All right, so there were a few more people that still had their hand up on Don't Dump Your Cup. I think one of them was you, right? So one right here. There you go. And here's some more bucket lists and one more Slay the Dragon. So you pass those out. Okay. You're welcome. Because we were just going to do a drawing, and I was like, oh, that's no fun. Everybody gets a present. It's the holidays. So I just want you to know, when I learned about body language, I went home, and I didn't know what to change in my body language. I just taught you guys what to change. I didn't know. So I went home, and I went in the house, and I stood in front of my kids as I walked in the house, and I held out my arms, and I said, hi, everyone, I'm home. And they looked at me like, Mom has lost it. And I'm like, I am not going to let that program be what sticks inside of me. Just put them over there. And so I stood there. And I just stood there and didn't even say anything. And all of a sudden, my 13-year-old ran across the room and hugged me. Because my kids were so hungry for me to be open. Because I hadn't known how to be, because I was so busy responding to the negative comments in my own head. And so be willing to embrace the uncomfortable long enough to get a new result. Embrace that uncomfortable long enough to get a new result. So you guys that are online, and you guys that are in here as well, I can't put actual CDs through the electronics, but I can put downloads through the electronics. So if you go to the website 3kegift.com/Ann, that right there will give you 2 free audio downloads. They are Perfection is a Direction and Building a Mind of Steel. So now everybody online also gets a Christmas present. Is that cool? Okay, big round of applause for everyone online. But it doesn't know that you guys weren't online, so you can also have it. So you'll get an extra present. Is that all right? You are very welcome. And the last thing that I want to tell you before you go, because I want to respect your time, is this. On the back of your handout, you see a little bit of information about the Master Your Influence class. This is the class that my husband signed me up for 10 years ago. At this class, you will learn powerful information, not just about body language, but how to interact with people, how to use a vision board, how to put things into practice that will upgrade your whole way of being. Who here has been to Master Your Influence that would give me a wahoo for that class? Powerful class. So the last live one of them doesn't mean the information's going away, but we will no longer be teaching the Master Your Influence class as a live class. It's at, Reed, is it at the Salt Palace? Yes. What are the dates?
12th, 13th, and 14th.
So the 12th, 13th, and 14th of December. Is that the dates? Okay. So it'll be at the Salt Palace the 12th, 13th, and 14th. So what I'm going to do for you, because you joined me here or you joined me here online, I am covering the tuition of that class for you.
Wow, thank you.
So the way you register for it is you go to Master Your Influence. Oh, I thought it was written on here. I guess I will write it on the board for you. You go to this website. You go to 3keyelements.com/MYI, and you're going to use the promo code gift. And when you do, it is going to charge you a $25 registration fee, but no, it's gift. He changed it to hands? If that one doesn't do it, then do this one. Because before I came up, it was this one, but they might have upgraded. Can we handle upgrades? So try either promo code GIFT or promo code HANDS, and it's going to charge you a $25 registration fee, but the tuition has been covered for you. Will you receive that gift for the holidays, you guys? And that is good for you and also for another person. So if you want to bring another person with you, you are welcome to do that. But you have to register for that. You got to do that today. You got to do that today. But I want to see you all there. I want to see you all there. So when you come to the class, please come say hi to me because I will be there. The majority of the class is taught by Kirk Duncan, who is the owner of the company. He's the one that taught the class to me. He looks a little different than when I came to the class 10 years ago. He was rather round back then, and he's like much smaller now. And he's learned a little bit over the last 10 years. So if you've come to the class before, I highly recommend you come again. And I'm taking away your chicken exits. I'm taking away your chicken exits. So there's no money chicken exit. There's no time chicken exit, because if you can't come all 3 days, you can come 2 of the days. Just come when you can come, but be at the class and put the information into practice. Because learning something without putting something into action is a recipe for frustration. So put it into practice. Are there any questions about this offer? What is the time at the... It is 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Great question. That's per person. Great question. Any other questions? You need to register today. Yep. Before 5 p.m. or before 12 p.m.? When do they? By 12 p.m. There, I made the decision. So you have clear till 12 p.m. Now, are you going to ask which time zone? By midnight Pacific time zone. Now you have till 1 o'clock. All right? Great question. You guys have been a lot of fun. Any other questions about this? All right, so I am expecting to see you guys there. Come to the class, come learn more, and come say hi to me. If you have other questions about mentoring, group mentoring, something we talked about, I'm going to be able to stay for a few minutes after class, and you can come up and ask me questions. But give yourselves a big round of applause for being here this morning. You're awesome. Oh, and also, if you know a group of people that needs to have me come do some training, come talk to me or talk to Ammon out at the front desk, because I love getting to travel around. And that applies to you guys online as well. If you would like to have me come speak, either talk to Ammon at the office or come talk to me. You guys are awesome. Have a great Thursday. Okay, reading body language is a skill to find answers and solutions. Answers and solutions. I know, because I did promise you I would give you all the answers. Thank you for holding me to my promise. To begin reading body language, I must remove judgment and see movements as indicators. But don't ask me how to spell it. You don't have to know how to spell to graduate from college. To begin reading body language, I must remove judgment and see movements as indicators. When I see movement, the next step is to ask good questions. Ask good questions. And on part 3, I gave you the answers right here. I just didn't tell you they were the answers. While you're speaking, the brain prepares and organizes 650 words per minute to say, At the last moment, our consciousness filters this down to 150 words. As a person speaks, there are an average of 500 words that are held back, and these hidden words show up in body language. Absolutely. All right, thank you for holding me accountable. That was awesome. Okay, music. Thank you, Reed.